Welcome everyone to Brazos and Beyond. I'm your host Charles, and needless to say, the channel really hasn't gotten off to a stellar start. It's been kind of a rocky start for Brazos and Beyond. Life just sometimes happens and gets in the way and kind of prevents people from doing what they really want to do. But we're going to do our best here at the channel to remedy that. And as you can see behind me, I've got a couple of my bird feeders out for my hummingbirds. I think we're getting towards the end of the migration season, and the activity has waned quite a bit. They're not going through 3 feeders in about a day and a half. Those feeders usually last about a day, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days. But when they get low, I go ahead and clean them out and refill them. But what I do have is some video of when the activity was a lot more abundant with them, and we're going to split the screen and you can see what's going on with those. And if you'll notice, where I have them now is completely different from where I had them earlier, because there was that one hummingbird that thought all 3 of those feeders were his, and would try to chase the other ones away. So I said, all right, bud, I'll fix you, and separated them a little bit. I still have the big one right up over here. But today's episode, and I apologize, so we do have a little bit of a breeze going. You see my Texas flag may appear in frame here a little bit. But on today's show, we have Trey from the band Sin Seer, and I am wearing their shirt today. And we actually did this interview yesterday late morning, and it was good to catch up with Trey. It had been a while since I'd had a chance to talk to him. It's looking good, and very excited about the release of their debut album, Arrival. We'll have that interview here in just a little bit. And we are also going to talk about some bridges that go over the Brazos River for our From the Banks installments, segments, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to be using Bridges Over the Brazos from Jon McConal. I believe that's the correct way to pronounce his name. This was a gift from my mother, and I have enjoyed perusing through this book. Probably read it one more time before I kind of put it down for a little while, but we're going to be going through the pages of this really cool and interesting book towards the end of the show. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into our interview with Sin Seer, and let's learn a little bit more about their brand new debut album, Arrival. We are now here with Trey from Sin Seer, and before we get to talking about the album that y'all just released, and how long ago what was the release date on that?
August 1st.
August 1st. Okay, so we're 3 days in.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's on Spotify. I listened to it on Spotify earlier today, and we're going to kind of share our feelings on that. But I do want to start off with a bit of a conversation that me and you had. You sent me an advance copy of the album, which meant the world to me. I was just blown away by that. But I do want to kind of share at least a little bit of that conversation that you and I had with that. And I should have brought it up earlier, but okay. There we go. Okay. So you sent it to me, and I said, hey, sorry for the delay. I'll try not to be too long-winded. But it's been a long while, since I can say that every song on an album is solid to spectacular. The last couple were Seven Dust Kill the Flaw, which I listen to almost on repeat on almost a daily basis, and Clutch's Psychic Warfare. I can confidently say that this album falls in that category. This is an outstanding album, and I cannot initially find any songs that I just wanted to skip. And for me, I've become a super finicky guy when it comes to music. Um, if it appeals to me, I'm all in. If it doesn't, I will shove it off to the side and I'm done with it. This album from start to finish, and the more I listen to it, and I've listened to it about 12 or 13 times, it just keeps getting better and better each time I listen to it. You also shared with me some of the struggles that came about during the writing process, the recording process. Go ahead and if you feel comfortable, go ahead and share some of those things that really you know preceded this album being made.
So originally, the album wasn't even supposed to be an album. It was supposed to be just another EP that we had put out. We started it right around 2022, like a little bit, a few months after my son was born. We started kind of like we at that point we had already had I think like 5 or 6 songs already kind of up in the air that we were we were feeling a ways about. But what we ended up doing was I want to say we ended up kind of not scrapping the idea, but a lot of those ended up just being single releases. So as time went on, and man, it just got to a point, dude, where we were just kind of hitting something about Cameron and his when he's in his element, man, and when he's like when the iron strikes, man, it's just one of those things that it was like it just got to a point where we, at this point, maybe 9 years in, as far as a writing team, me and him. So we had written our first song, as you know, as most of you know the story, back in 2015. So at this point, whenever we're putting together all these songs, I kind of just felt like, we've done this long enough that I felt like we have enough in us. We have enough wherewithal to do an album, to do it great. Because like you, we look at albums kind of like in reverence. You know what I mean? Albums used to really mean something, man. You used to like the release day, you couldn't wait to get to the store. You couldn't wait to open it up. You couldn't wait to look through the artwork and just like absorb everything and just get lost in all of it. Listen to each new song and just sort of digest and try to figure out what the hell the band was thinking when they like. And I get it, the way music is consumed now, that's just not the perception anymore. But albums still mean something, and they still meant something to us. So in order to do an album and to do it right, I feel like it takes a great deal of, fortitude and a little bit of stubbornness, honestly. But I felt like we were ready for it. I truly felt like we were ready for it. And I guess the lesson I learned is that you're never really ready for it. So going into it, uh, we were working at a recording studio, and then this recording studio ended up they ended up losing money, so they ended up losing the location. So the studio got shut down. We ended up working with the engineer that started recording us, and then he eventually, uh, I don't know, he went viral, and then he kind of just like gave us the cold shoulder or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it ended up just coming right back around to what we normally do. We ended up taking it into our own hands and finishing the album ourselves. So me and Cameron, and I really have to give credit to Cameron on this, because Cameron more or less took over the reins of everything. As soon as all the vocals were tracked, as soon as everything was, as far as like recording wise, was completely laid down, he took it over from there. He mixed it, he mastered it, and he did not complain once. The mixing process for me is always kind of like it's a love hate relationship. It's something that I've always enjoyed doing, but oh man, it comes with such a enormous price mentally. But he was just in that right headspace, and he knocked it out. And I would say with full confidence, these are the best, and probably the best. I don't know, sound kind of dumb saying this, but it's the best sounding recordings we've ever done. I can say that with full confidence. He really knocked it out of the park, and all the best characteristics about us, I think, are portrayed in this record. Like you said, like I think the only reason we were able to get to that point, man, was because all of these songs do have blood and sweat on them. You know, all of them like have like you can dig your fingernails into it, and then when you pull it out, there's more underneath. Like there's so much to it, and it's because these are stories that I've lived through. You know, it's real. You know, it's not some artificial, it's not some artsy. You know, I'm not trying to hide behind some esoteric message. It's just it's right there in front of you. The words are right there for you to read. So in that regard, it was just something that was so personal. And I think the statement arrival itself for us was kind of like, we're here, you know, after so long of being on this journey and, you know, all the cliche shit you hear about, you know, the twists and turns and the peaks and valleys, blah, blah, blah. But like, it really is about that destination. And once you finally get there, what do you do? Where do you go? What do you say? You know, and like, I think we're just at this point now, we have this confidence in us and here we go. Take us as we are. If not, fine. But like just to have that wherewithal just to know who we are and to own it and to just, yeah, if you want to come along for the ride, you know, we're happy to have you, that kind of thing.
If they don't come along for the ride, they're missing out. I'm just going to say that right off the
Thank you.
bat.
Thank you.
Um, the when I was listening to it today, one thing that kept coming up, and you don't really hear this or feel this in music anymore, is the buildup of tension in a song, and then you have that release, you know.
Absolutely.
And there are several tracks on the album that where you can actually feel the tension growing. You feel it in the pit of your stomach. You kind of get a little bit of a tingle. It's like I need to release, and then
Hmm.
boom, there it's there. And those are the songs and the albums that I remember that stick with me is I like to feel that tension and then get that release. It's I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of the musician left in me, uh, but that's what really steers me toward a song or an album or a band, what have you. Um, is that kind of by design when you're in the songwriting process?
You know, I'll say this, man, with Sin Seer, nothing was ever forced. And I think that's why I've been able to maybe tap into something deeper, I guess you could say, because the music always lent itself to that. And what I mean by that is like so when I'm given a song, I don't really write. I mean, I have things written, but I really love to just listen first. You know what I mean? Like just completely absorb, like kind of almost like listen to what is the music trying to tell me? You know, what kind of feeling am I getting from this? What kind of vibe? And then based off of that, I'll kind of go by what I have written. And if there's anything that sort of fits or matches that concept, I can just, take it from there. So I don't know, man. It hold on one sec. Sorry.
Don't
Sorry,
worry,
I
I'm the
lost.
same way. I got my cup of coffee over here as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm totally sorry. I lost my train of thought. What was your the question?
just you listen and digest everything and
Hmm.
feel what the song is trying to tell you, what the music is trying
Oh,
to tell you.
right. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but what was the question? Like that was I
Well,
was
it
following.
is that buildup of tension.
Oh, we were okay. Okay, yeah. So that really just kind of I don't know. I mean, it's not by design, but I grew up loving music that did that. You know, I grew up I mean, my favorite band is Korn, and Korn were almost like the masters. Jonathan Davis, man, had such a way with doing that proper build up. We're just like you felt the tension, like you said, you felt the tension rising. So I don't know if it was necessarily something I tried to put in there. It was just something that sort of just,
So
naturally. Yeah, it
it
wasn't really
happened
for.
naturally.
Yeah,
It,
yeah,
it
yeah. And there was a few moments in the recording where I was honestly kind of worried. There's a song that's the most personal to me on the record called Fault. I haven't actually discussed what the actual song is about, but I think, I mean, if for anyone who's actually familiar with that song, I think you can kind of tell that there's a certain type of aggression on it that's different from every other song on there. And that was completely just because of what happened in the moment with that song, you know, and I was really almost worried because I'm not, I don't, I'm not a fan of when you get so heavily emotional in in certain takes, you know, as far as like breaking down and crying and all that. I don't know. It makes me feel a certain way. And again, coming from, you know, being a Corn fan, I guess this is ironic, but uh it's one of those things where I I I I struggle with being that type of vulnerable. You know what I mean? And it didn't get to that part, but I still listen to that song now, and it's still kind of hard for me to not want to break down in certain parts because it was so not traumatized. Yeah, I guess traumatizing, but like it's just it left such a mark. When things leave such a mark on you, and then you hear it, and then it reminds you of that, like it kind of takes you back, and you're just like, oh, like you almost remember being back in that moment. That again, that's the beautiful thing about music is that it has that power. You know, it can be a double-edged sword too. You know, it can bring back the great memories like that, and it can also unfortunately bring back some bad memories when you hear a certain piece of music like that. So yeah, I mean it's just whatever the music, you know, it's just whatever the music brings out in you, I guess. So it's just that's just the power of it really.
Right, and I couldn't agree with you more on that. What my favorite track is "Save It for Last," and I kind of want to uh, kind of get the backstory on that one because that song really kind of appealed to me more so than the others. And you usually have a song, one or two songs on an album that just kind of hit you in the feels more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and that one hit me pretty hard. So if you could share a little bit more about that song.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Well, I always the title really doesn't necessarily hold any meaning per se. I just that's kind of a little homage to my like when I was younger, you know, and I always thought about, you know, if and when I ever have like a debut album, you know, like you think of like ironic song title names and stuff like that. And I always like, I'm gonna name the last song on the album Save It for Last, you know, just kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. So
Right.
that was really just the idea behind that itself. But the song itself is actually it's got a little bit of a double meaning behind it. So the opening line is no more dreams. So uh I've in the past for like the past 10 years since the death of one of my friends, my closest friends, I kind of had like this dream problem. I don't know. I don't know what you really call it. It's not really necessarily a dream problem, but anyways, I've noticed that there was like a certain theme going on in all of these dreams, and it kept going back to these common elements. And what it was is it was always in the dark. Most of the time is normally like pitch black. For whatever reason, I was usually alone, and for whatever reason, I could see. Like if that makes any sense. Like it was dark and it was pitch black, but I could still see my surroundings. So like I would be like in a room full of people, and then next thing I know, I'm just like I move over here, and then it's just complete darkness. So like I kept having these different dreams, and it just kind of got to this point where like it wasn't even necessarily like bad dreams or nightmares. It was just something that kept plaguing my mind. And you know, they always say like dreams are kind of like a it has something to do with your mind internally and whatever have you, but I wasn't quite sure of it, but I knew it was something of like a grieving period. That's kind of what the symbolism that I sort of picked up from it. So the no more dreams at the beginning really was kind of a I just don't want to dream anymore. I just want to sleep, you know? So like kind of taking that metaphor, picking up on it, it's weird how parallels with growing up, you know, kind of coincide with certain things like that. And not only that, but with this band in particular, a lot of the material that I write, it's just so uncanny that so many years later I can draw new inspiration from what we've already written, but just like from completely different, you know, experiences, perspectives, or whatever have you. So, you know, when I first started doing music, all I wanted to do, man, was all I wanted really was just to have my album in the record store. You know, I could walk into the record store and just see it and just be like, yeah, that's mine, you know, and you know, get signed, tour the world, you know, the usual dream shit. And then you fast forward 30 years later and you realize that none of that stuff really exists anymore, you know? And the chances of even doing that are, you know, compared to what they were before, you know, forget it. So it was kind of one of those things where No More Dreams took on a whole other meaning, you know? So these dreams that I had of being this type of musician or being this type of artist or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Excuse me, you might need to bleep
No,
that if you
you're
need to,
good.
but
You're good. Let it
okay.
fly.
All right. But you can call all of that whatever it is, but at the end of the day, like the way, and I don't know, I don't want to make this of, you know, I don't want to throw us off the rails here, but you know, the way the world is now and the way things are going and the way things are, it's just things don't have the reverence that they used to, you know. So the chances of us ever actually, you know, you just be real with yourself and you be honest with what's going on around you. But I think the best you can hope for these days is just to leave some kind of impression on somebody. You know, like the attention span is so insane now. If you can actually just catch somebody that actually is interested in what you have to say and what you do for longer than 2 minutes and they actually care, I mean, I'd say it's more successful than most, you know. So that's how I go about all of this today. So I know that's kind of a bit of a long answer, but that's kind of where at the beginning, No More Dreams, how it went from that to, you know, it's just growing up, I guess is what it is. But coming out of it on the other side, and that's the thing about it too, man, is that it's not it's not black and white and it's not even necessarily good or bad because it's just growing up, you know, because there was a point where my dreams, there was a point, man, and this is the wildest thing. It was like I was dreaming in daytime and I'm like sitting in the back of a pickup truck or whatever and they're like, oh yeah, it's almost midnight. I'm like, midnight, the sun is out. And I'm like, the sun, it was one of those lucid dreams, I guess you could say. Like it almost hit me. I was like, wait a second. Just something I came to, man, and it was something, and again, this was maybe you know, maybe a year or so after my son was born or whatever. But again, it was one of those moments where it was like a, a bit of peace actually came to me, and I was like, wow, okay, so like you see the light. That's where the line, I can see the light. That's where it comes from. So it's sort of again, it's just growing up and just realizing, yeah, things may not have turned out the way you wanted them to turn out, but that doesn't mean you still can't enjoy what is around you. So maybe that's sort of the message at the end is what I'm sort of trying to say. And I think that's why it kind of ends on a little bit of a, I don't know, like I was very I was very particular about the way the track listing went on this record. I broke it down to Cameron like how I wanted it because the energy in which you hear this record, it's almost like that of like I tried to orchestrate it that of like a life cycle. You know, you have these like, you know, in the beginning, like it starts off really soft and slow, and then it comes out of nowhere and it hits you, and then you're going on this ride, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything crashes around you. The devil's in the details. Things sort of break down. Things get a little more darker. Things get a little bit more scarier, a little bit more frantic. you start getting a little more frantic, but then once you break out of that, bam, after all this time, it finally makes so much sense. And there you go. So all of that was by design. Once we finally had all of that laid out and I could finally hear the songs enough to know where the energy lied in each of them, I was able to sort of, because the pacing of a record, man, is very important. And that's another thing that people don't really take into consideration. They just record songs, and then after, 12 weeks or whatever, you have all of these, songs you record. All right, let's just put out an album. And I mean, if that's how you want to do it, more power to you. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell anyone how to do their art, but me personally, if I was, that's why this record meant it took a huge chunk of our life, man. I mean, 3 years, a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifices, and a lot of the rug getting yanked out from under you, a lot of humbling. You think this idea works or that idea works, you try this take or that take, and you're being told, no, it sucks. Like, you got to do it better. And to take that on the chin and just to keep going, man, I learned a lot from it. Like I said, it was very humbling. So I think through all of that, I hope it made me a better songwriter, a better performer, but I guess only time will tell. But yeah, I'm just grateful like people like you and others have taken to it. Like, something actually spoke to them, and that's all I've ever wanted to do with our music. So the fact that we got to do that, man, I'm so grateful for that, for sure.
Well, I think you and Cameron really knocked it out of the park. I mean, because I mean, essentially, this is the debut album for Sin Seer,
Hmm.
and what's great is it's not like you're just coming off the street and with a record deal or a record company, and you're able to do your own thing. And I think that's one good thing that has come out of not so many record companies and stuff like
Right.
that, with the AR guys saying, well, we need a single, we need a single, we need a
Hmm.
song we can put on top 40
Right.
or whatever like that. You can do your own damn thing, and that's great. I'm glad that that era's gone, because it watered down the music. But uh, you know, you go into a record store and you're just like, the all you see are old records. You don't see
Hmm.
really all that much new vinyl.
Right.
It's you can go in there and find a Justice for All, or you can go in there and find Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers or something like that. Older albums. And everything is now digital. It's more accessible to people, which is great. But I think the most important thing that's come out of that is that you have full control of your sound, you have your destiny in your hands,
Hmm.
basically. And
Yeah.
I think that the best thing, the best thing that you and Cameron can do is try to get this album on radio somehow, whether it's Sirius XM, get it on Liquid Metal or Octane, or something along
Yeah.
those lines, to
Hmm.
get more people to listen, because I have a very small reach, and uh it's it's it I want you and I want Cameron to kind of to reap the benefits of the hard work that you've put in. And
Appreciate that.
you know, I've never been disappointed with anything that Sincere has put out. I talk about the band whenever I can. Anybody who will listen. Of course, I work around a bunch of people that listen to it, like reggaeton and
Right.
hip hop, and I'm like, okay, the closest I'm getting to that's baby metal.
Yeah.
But um, it's I it's gonna sound weird, but I'm proud of you guys. I really, really am. I'm proud of both of y'all. You've done an outstanding job, and for Arrival, and the perfect name, because I believe Sincere has arrived. This is the time for you to take the world by the proverbial balls and just and run with it. Okay. Now I know time's running a little bit short, and what I really want you to do, and I'd love this if you could just share how anybody who sees this can get in, find your music, if they want to get in touch with you or anything like that, social media, what streaming platforms it's on. The mic is yours, sir.
Thank you, man. We are pretty much everywhere. Popular social media platform you can think of, any popular streaming platform you can think of, we're there. You can just shoot us a message. Best place to probably get a response is probably Instagram. I would say TikTok, but unfortunately, we just got suspended from messaging on TikTok. Stupid, fucking stupid ass reason. But regardless, I mean, however you want to reach out to us, just drop us a comment. YouTube, I mean, wherever. I mean, I'm always on there. I'm always checking, chatting. I love chatting with people. That was one of the really great things I loved about TikTok was that I've actually in the last since the album has been out, I've been, sort of trying to network a little more, and I've actually met a couple of really, really cool new people, and they're all sincere fans now, and they've all checked out the album, and they're, people that I like my generation that grew up listening and watching the same shit I did. So like we're just like tripping out on nostalgia and stuff. So like it's cool. It's still cool connecting and networking and all that. So yeah, man, please reach out to us on any of those platforms. Of course, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. If you want to listen for free, iHeartRadio, we're there. We're everywhere, baby. So just we're not hard to find. So just hit us up.
And hopefully soon enough on XM radio.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
Sirius XM radio. I would love to turn on Sirius XM Liquid Metal and go, I fucking know those guys.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you
Trey,
so much for your words, man.
well,
I really appreciate your support because I mean, before we close up, the fact that all these years later, man, you are one of the only few, I think, from that first phase of when we started, that still, like you said, still sings our praises, that still supports, that still cares enough to actually listen to the record and to actually, I don't know, just show an interest in us, man, and to be proud. Like, thank you, man. Thank you so much. I've always valued your opinion and your respect, and I'm grateful for you, man. Thank you.
well, you earned it. I didn't. It's not just something I hand out. And if I tell you something, you're gonna know if I'm being full of crap.
For sure, for
But
sure.
my mom used to tell me I was so full of crap, my eyes are doo doo brown. But but if you're gonna know I'm sincere when I tell you these things. Um, but there's a little bit of pride just because y'all are Texas boys,
Right,
you
right.
know. So
Yeah,
so
I feel
I'm
that.
I'm gonna I'm
I
gonna
feel that.
so but yeah, you I couldn't be more proud of what y'all have been able to do and the perseverance that you've had. 9 years, it doesn't sound like very long, but a lot can happen in those nine
Hmm.
years.
Oh yeah,
And hopefully there's at least 20 to 30 more years of sincere going on further.
for
I see
sure.
nothing but a bright future for the both of you. And I cannot thank you enough for taking time to come on the show.
Of
And
course.
I'm going to check back in with you. Hopefully, maybe in a couple of months, and
Yeah.
see what kind of progress you've made, what kind of if you've had any reviews or anything like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
And what I would like to do, with your permission, is maybe take a couple of songs and do like a reaction review type thing
Sure. Yeah.
on here. I
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
I would love to put a song on here, but YouTube's kind of weird when it comes to that stuff.
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
but if I'm gonna take a couple of songs and break them down and kind of give the listener a little bit of my input on it as well.
Nice, man. Appreciate
Uh,
that. Yeah.
man, thanks so much for coming on. I'm proud of you guys. I love y'all. It's awesome.
It was an honor, man. Thank you so much.
It looks like we've got a little bit of activity here. It is in the middle part of the day, so hummingbirds typically aren't as active in the feeding process during the middle of the day, but give you a little bit better view of the setup that I have. And there we go. I think that was the one that likes to chase everybody away. And here we go. We got some activity here. Yeah, he's already claiming that one for his. Well, there's two more. We got one there, and one there. So tried to make it where everybody could get some nectar. And if you're curious, the ratio that I'm using is a 1/4 cup per gallon. Some people say 1/3 cup. I've done both. They seem to like the 1/4 cup a little bit better, although I may cut it back now that the migration season is kind of winding down. But just to give you an idea of what we're doing here for the hummingbirds. And there are a couple of species that pretty much stay here year round. The buff-chested, and I believe there's a couple other ones, but the buff-chested will probably be the one that we see year round here in southeast Texas. And they're beautiful creatures, and I'm going to continue to make sure they have the nectar that they need. We're also going to be hopefully getting some native plants that hummingbirds like to feed from, get their natural nectar as well. So let's go ahead and get to From the Banks. For this week's From the Banks, we are going to be referring and looking at a book called Bridges Over the Brazos, written by Jon McConal. I believe that's the correct pronunciation of his name. And this is a very interesting book. I got it as a birthday present probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, for my mother. She knows anything about Texas history or Texas or anything like that is going to be right up my alley. So she found this book, and I appreciate that she did that. And the book is very, very interesting. I've been through it a couple of times, and we're going to be referring to this book probably a few more times as Brazos and Beyond continues to grow and press on. I did have to move my camera just a little bit because the flag for twice in a row just decided to land right in front of the lens and cut off everything. So I just scooted over a little bit. Now you get to see the wind chimes that we have up over here. But we're gonna start off in this book at chapter 45 right here. It is Rosoria's Bridge to Nowhere, and this is a bridge that I grew up seeing on a daily basis from 6th grade to the age of probably 21, and it had become just part of my life. Now, unfortunately, the bridge is no longer there. It has been torn down, and I did an episode on my feelings on the bridge being torn down on Lone Star Spirit, and I will link to that video here as well. But we're gonna take some excerpts from Mr. McConnell's book and learn a little bit more about Rosoria's Bridge to Nowhere. The beautiful steel bridge over Highway 521 near Brazoria has earned the label the Bridge to Nowhere. Now that sounds like a put down. It's not, though it did require some effort on our part to learn why the name was applied to the bridge, built in 1939 and listed as a Texas landmark and on the National Register of Historic Places. The town of Brazoria began in 1828 as a port and trading center in Stephen F. Austin's colony. Partially burned in 1836 during the Texas Revolution, that would be the Runaway Scrape. It was rebuilt and served as a county seat until 1897. To escape floods and to enjoy a better life, the townspeople moved to Newtown near the St. Louis, Brownsville, and Mexico Railway in 1912. This town became Old Town. The first traffic bridge built across the Brazos River in this historic region in 1912 provided a vital link between eastern and western Brazoria County. Falling victim to the elements and the lack of maintenance, the wood deck bridge fell into the river in the 1930s. Built in 1939, during the Great Depression, using local labor, county bond money, and funds from the Public Works Administration, it says current, but this former bridge in Brazoria sustains the historic transportation route. It is nicknamed the bridge that goes nowhere. Before the soil embankments were built, this 1,124-foot concrete steel bridge has 3 Parker-through truss spans. It is supported by concrete-filled caisson and concrete piling, and approaches composed of 14 concrete-supported I-beams with steel guardrails. An important example of this style, this Brazoria Bridge is a significant part of the Brazoria County history. Now, this bridge, like I said, was very important to me. It was a daily sight for me through much of my life, even until they tore it down. Every time that I came home, I made a point, whether I was stationed in Montana or Wichita Falls or San Angelo, and I came home, I made it a point to go see the bridge, even though the newer 521 bridge had been built. That bridge was still there, and it put a smile on my face every time I saw it. Now it's gone, and it's probably coming on maybe getting close to a year since that bridge is gone or has been taken away. It still feels like there's a little bit of a hole in my heart from that. And if I had the money, if I had, $100 million or something like that, I would at least see if the city would be open to building a replica of it and using it as a fishing pier or something like that. People could go and fish off the bridge or something like that. And just something so the plaque that's there at the little rest stop, you would actually kind of have something to look at and compare it to. Now it's just you really don't have anything there, and it's a bridge, and it was on the National Historic Registry, so I still to this day don't understand why it was taken down, but it has, and it's a travesty. Regardless, I want to thank everyone for checking out today's video. I want to thank Trey from Sin Seer for coming on the program and talking about their brand new debut album, Arrival. It is on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, wherever you listen or stream music from. Make sure you go and check out Arrival from Sin Seer. These are guys that I've had on previous programs before, and I enjoy talking to them, enjoy listening to their music, and make sure you go and check that out. We'll be back hopefully next week with another episode of Brazos and Beyond. Until then, everyone, be safe, be kind, and may God bless each and every one of you. We'll talk to you next week.